So if you're watching this video, you are looking for a last-minute little gift box for an adult, child, it doesn't matter who, but this box is going to go together real quick, and it has some details on it that are very Santa Claus-like, which makes it, it kind of takes it over the top and makes it even more suitable for the holidays. So let's just jump right in here. And I'm going to kind of go over some of the key pieces that create the actual structure here. And we're going to do that first. So as you probably noticed already, we've got pieces here that are numbered. This is just a single slash is a 1. Here we have 2 slashes, that's a 2. Here we have 3 slashes, that's a 3. And then we have one that has 4 slashes arranged in a square or a circle. That's 4. And then there's this one piece here with the letter T on it. T stands for top. This is the actual lid that will open and close on your box. So as usual, and I typically do this before I get started, but you want to go ahead and make sure that you kind of pre-fold everything and get everything nice and scored. Okay. And we'll go ahead and begin putting this together. And before we do, we're going to put our panels on this just to kind of, for some reason, when we're putting together boxes like this, when the panels are in place, it makes things easier because it's not as wobbly and it just feels more solid. And that's always a good thing. Okay, so now one thing you'll notice on these side panels here, the side walls, is that one side has tabs that are angled and one side has these little flaps. Okay, this is going to be the top and this is the bottom. So anything with an angled tab is going to be your bottom. Now these larger pieces, they don't have little flaps. All they have is tabs. Okay, so this is going to be your bottom, these are your sides, this is your top. I'm going to take piece number 1, put piece number 2 right next to it, and actually, you know what, my bad. Let's get our panels in place first. So now remember what I mentioned, these small pieces with the angled or the curved tabs, that's the top, this is the bottom. This is the panel that's going to go on there, and this is your top here. So if you do have paper that requires a proper orientation, you don't want to put it on upside down, put it right side up, this is your top. Now you can see I've got a piece here where I've got ornaments that are hanging. Obviously I want to get that on correctly. So let's do that real quick. Let's get our panels on. Let's stiffen up the walls of this box by doing so. And then we can go ahead and begin with the construction of our actual container here. And mostly just make sure that you're getting your glue out to the edges here and make sure that you're putting it in the correct spot. Okay, that looks pretty good. Just try to get it as centered as you can. Okay. And just press that down all the way across. And there's piece number 1. Now this is piece number 2. Again, make sure that the rounded side is up at the top. Your bottom is the angled tab. Try to get that glue out to the edge so it doesn't come peeling off. Okay, and then again, just try to make sure that you get it as even as you can as far as the borders go. Nice and centered. And you should be able to eyeball that, no problem. Kind of push down along the perimeter. There we go. All right, let's find piece number 3. Again, this is your top here. And let me find my panel for piece number 3. Oh, also, one other thing too, is that there's going to be 3 panels out of the same cardstock. One of them is going to be a little bit shorter. That's for your top. It's for the actual lid. Okay, so don't get those confused. If you start putting the panels on these sides and you notice that one is rather small, you probably have the wrong one. So just grab the other one that is the correct size. Okay. All right, so again, working that glue out to the edges here. There we go. Like that. Make sure that you've got the correct orientation here. And get that nice and centered. Nice even border all the way around. And press down. If it's off a smidge, I don't think anyone's going to notice, but just try to do your best work. That's all you can do. There we go. Okay, piece 3 is in place. And I may just kind of, I'm going to put these underneath my mat, let them kind of flatten out a bit. Okay, here's piece 4. Here's the panel that goes along with it. Again, this is your top. So in this case, I've got just some kind of a caption, some kind of a message on this paper, and I don't want it to be upside down. So just make sure you do it correctly if you have that kind of paper. If you have just kind of a seamless, repetitive pattern that doesn't have a right side up or anything like that, then you're fine. You don't need to worry about it too much. Okay, nice and centered. There we go. There we go. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm gonna pop that underneath my mat for a second as well. And I may as well put the top on. So now, again, you'll notice one side has an angled tab and the other side has a round tab. Okay, this is gonna be forward facing. This is gonna face you. This is the tab we're gonna use to actually connect the lid to the box, in which case, if you do have a patterned piece that requires that it's put down correctly, I would probably have it going down or have the orientation in a way so that as you're looking at it from the front, it looks correct. So you don't want it upside down. Okay, well, let's get that in place. We'll just do some of the paper piecing stuff first. Get our feet wet. Get that glue out to the edges if you can, a little bit in the center so it doesn't go anywhere. And then I'll typically just do one more little lap around to get the perimeter really good. Okay, so again, this is facing me because it's rounded there. And get it nice and centered. And one thing you'll also notice is that we've got some little guides here up at the top near that near the tab there, and that is to help us with the alignment of the top, this little section here. And we'll get to that in a little bit. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Put that underneath my mat. I'm going to grab my main 4 pieces, piece 1, 2, 3, and 4. And let me find piece number 1. There it is. And then piece number 2. And we're going to join these together. Okay, so I'm going to start by putting glue on this tab here. And get that glue up to the very edge. Kind of fold it down like that, so as I work that glue out to the edge, it doesn't spill over onto this surface at all. Okay, again, make sure this is your top. Don't do it upside down, otherwise it's not going to work. There we go. So take this piece here and line it up, kind of butt it up against the score mark on this tab as close as you can without going over. And kind of, you can flip it over onto itself, and you can tell by the alignment of these tabs here, or these sides, if they're right, aligned nicely and matched up, one's not going that way or this way, they're means you got it lined up very well. Okay, so there we have that. Piece 1, piece 2. So now we're going to need the long piece, number 3. Here's piece number 3. We're going to put some glue on this tab here and connect it to that section there. Okay, so I'm going to do it this way. Get my glue on the meat of the tab and then a nice thicker line right up to the edge so that I can take and spread that glue out. Just kind of paint it. There we go. And then literally just take that other piece and there we go. Just like that. Press that down. And then I can take it and fold it over onto itself and check my alignment. See, that didn't look as good, but you can kind of nudge it and move it wherever you need to get it properly aligned. That glue is pretty forgiving for the most part. Okay, so we got 3 sides connected. Now this is still section 3 that we're putting our glue on, and then we're taking section 4. We're going to connect it here, make sure that the round part is facing up. And let's get our glue on this tab. A little bit out to the edge, like that. Let me flip it around this way. Right, so this piece is getting kind of big now. Get that glue out to the edges here. Flip it back this way. Grab this piece, line it up. And give it a nudge upward. There we go. And press. And we can take this and fold it over onto itself, like so. Check your line here. Kind of move it where you need to, if necessary. There we go. Okay, now, because it is a box, we'll go ahead and close it up, and we can do so by putting glue on the final tab on piece number 1. And work that glue out to the edge. I'm going to start doing a count on how many times I say that, because that is kind of a theme. I'm trying to get everything to look as polished as possible. So now I can put this down flat and literally just take this last side and drop it right into place. And I'll lift it up and fold onto that section there that we just glued together and just add a little extra pressure to get that to stick. There we go. Okay, so there is what is shaping up to be our container. And we've got 4 tabs on the bottom now. Okay, I'm gonna zoom out a little bit because this thing's getting kind of big. Okay, so what I would do at this point is kind of check your work. And I'm noticing that I've got little areas here that aren't completely glued down. I'm going to take a scrap piece of paper, just throw a little bit of glue on the very edge of it, and just kind of shove it in between the 2 areas there that need to connect better. Paint a little bit of glue on there, and I'll just press and hold that for a few extra seconds. I'm going to put it down on that side and get that to really hold nicely for me. There we go. Okay, so when deciding which side is going to be your front or back, because at this point we do have the option, find the side where your seams just look better. Okay, so this is going to be my front. So tab 3 is my front. Doesn't really matter, again, because it's a symmetrical box. So since tab 3 is going to be my front, when we put the bottom on, I'm going to start there because I always tend to do my best work on the first tab, the anchoring tab. So find these pieces here and take a look in one of the corners. You'll see that there's a little L cut into it. That's your liner. It's going to go inside. So put that off to the side for a second. Grab the one that does not have the L, and we're going to begin by gluing that to our first tab. You're either going to be gluing it to tab 1 or 3, depending on which side you want to be your front. Okay, so get your glue on that tab. I'm going to do one little line up to the edge and paint that out. Get it all the way to the very corner, just like that. And if you've got too much glue, just thin it out. All right, grab the piece that does not have the little L cut into it, and let's move these tabs out of the way. Get that lined up, right nice and flush up against the very edge. And you got a little bit of excess glue that kind of shot out there, but that's okay. And hold that down in place, give that a few seconds to set, and you can literally let it kind of fall onto your table and then press from the inside where we can really get those sections to gel nicely. Okay, there we go. Let's take a look at that seam. Let's see what that looks like. That's pretty good. All right. I ended up getting a little bit of glue on the bottom of that, so be careful. Luckily, no one's really gonna look at the bottom of this box. So now we're gonna close this up. Okay, so we need to put glue on the remaining tabs here. And throw a little bit of glue right along the edge here. And I'm gonna paint that glue out to the very edge. Like that. There we go. Okay, so flip this over and focus on getting this side aligned, the side opposite of the side that's already glued together, and press that down. And then work on getting the two other sides down, and just kind of keep running your fingers back and forth along the seams here. And if you notice that you've got a little area where it's really not wanting to stick, you can add a little extra pressure there and be a little more patient in that section. And then you can flip her over and push down from the inside and get that to stick nicely. Okay, and take a look at your bottom, check your work. I've got one little section here that I'm not totally happy with, so again, just grabbing a scrap piece of paper, throw a little bit of glue right at the tip, pop it in between those two layers, just paint a little bit of glue into those sections, and then just press and hold until it's nice and flush. Okay, so that looks great. And let me see, so this is my front, that's tab 3. This piece here, this last little piece, this is our liner. So you can go ahead and let's move these tabs out of the way for a second. And just run some glue around the perimeter. Oops. Like that. Pardon my head. A little bit on the inside, not too much. And just slide that right in. And then run your finger along the perimeter. And that's going to sturdy it up and make it look nicer inside. That looks great. Okay, and let's see, where's my front? Well, you know, all the sides look pretty good. I'm gonna go with this as my front. Okay, so now find these pieces here. We're gonna get our glitter portions in place here. Okay, so you're gonna have 3 pieces that look almost identical, but you'll notice that if you kind of stack them together and kind of just, you know, flatten them out on your table, one of them is gonna be a little bit shorter. Okay, so you're gonna wanna take the short one and one of the other ones, keep those together, and then keep the other longer one off to the side for just a moment. Okay, So grab this piece here that looks like this. It has a little T cut into it. Okay, this shorter one is going to go up here where the T is. Okay, and the one that's just a tiny, tiny bit longer is going to go right here at the bottom. So let's get these glued into place. It's pretty straightforward. Just make sure you get the right one. Okay, and then work a little bit of that glue out into the scallop areas so that that sits nice and flat and doesn't come pulling away. I forgot which one this was. This was my shorter one. So I'm going up here. The shorter one goes up on top where the T is. Just do your best to match that up with the existing holes on the other black scalloped portion and just press down. Okay, this is Santa's belt buckle. Well, the black part is, and then this is the center of his Christmas suit, Santa's suit. Okay, so now with the other one, the one that's slightly longer, that one's going down here. Just match that up with the existing holes there. Now it may help to kind of hold it up in the air so that you can better see that you've got it lined up correctly. There we go. Just like that. Okay. I'm gonna press that down. Beautiful. Okay. So now you kind of just need to decide again, just commit to it because there's no turning back now. Which side is going to be your front, which side is going to be your back. And again, I don't think it matters. So anyway, pick out your back side. And what we're going to do is we're going to glue this onto the back. We want to make sure that it's nice and flush here and that it's lined up here and here. Okay. So we're going to need to apply glue to this entire piece, which means that we're going to have to kind of work quick here. And make sure that you get that glue out to the edges all the way around. If we need to, we can always go back in and paint some glue into little areas that maybe not sitting completely flush. So do your best to get your glue into as many of these areas as you can. Okay, now remember that one has the letter T on it. That's your top. Make sure that you get the top into where it says top or up at the top. Okay, and kind of push your finger down here just to make sure that that's lined up. The bottom should naturally fall into place. I'm going to put this down flat on my surface now and push from the inside to get that to stick so that I don't risk denting or creasing or warping my box. Okay, there we go. And it's starting to come together now. Let's take a look here. There we go. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so that's my back. Nice and flush there, everything looks good. So now find one of these little strips, and that is going to go on the side here. And you want to get that nice and centered. Okay, so just throw a little bit of glue on the back of this. There's nothing else that goes on this piece. It's just a simple black little piece. Get that glue out to the edges around the perimeter. And just using this one here, kind of use that as your guide. Push it up nice and flush up against the existing piece there, and then I'd kind of maybe just hold it there while I push down on the rest of it. And then you can pop it down on your surface and really push down from the inside to get the rest of that to stick. And if you want, you can take it even a step further and use a little dowel to really push down on those corners. Let's take a look at that. There we go. You can see how that's starting to turn out. Now I'm going to head on over to the other smaller side and get this piece into place just like we did the opposite side. Okay, and again, using the back side as my guide, put it down on my surface like this, get this lined up, nice and flush. And once that's got a grip, just kind of push it down on the bottom here. like so. And then you can put it down on your surface and press down. I'm using my dowel here, just pushing down right in the corner, right in the very edge. Just make sure that that's sitting nice and flush. There we go. And that turned out nice. So it should look pretty seamless and continuous all the way around. Okay, so that just leaves our front, which we'll get into place here in just a moment. Okay, so our front is a little bit different in that it doesn't have that top section, just that bottom section. So we're going to take this piece and glue it to the bottom of the front. Okay, again, making sure that kind of working around that little scalloped area. Just like that. Pop that into place. Just make sure you align it with the existing little circular cutouts. Give it a little nudge left or right, depending on where you need to go. Okay, and that's it for that part. Just like that. Okay, and that, as you probably guessed, is going to go right here. So it should match up nicely with the existing belt that's already there, and then the bottom should be nice and flush as well. So let's do that real quick. Let's get this in place. Got a lot of area here, so get your glue into these sections, work those scallops. And then work the perimeter. There we go. And I would kind of put my finger here at the bottom. Make sure you get it as close to center as possible before you pop it down. And then the rest of it should just kind of match up. I'm running my fingers along the base here just to make sure that that's lined up, and then giving it a slight nudge down. It's in place. I'm going to put this down on my surface and push down from the inside now. And of course, if I've got any little areas that are not sitting flush, I can always paint those a little bit if necessary. But that is pretty darn spot on, so good job. How is yours coming along? Hopefully well. All right, the structure is done. Now we just need to work on our lid. I'm going to put this off to the side for just a moment and grab my lid from underneath my mat. Okay, so I'm going to kind of work on the lid in stages here. Now, remember, this is our front. This is our back. The back is already complete. It's got the little white sections on top and the bottom. This is our front, and this is our lid. This is the front of our lid because it's round. This is the tab that we're going to use to connect the lid to the main structure. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it this way. Okay, I can literally just pop it into place like that. And then I'm just going to squeeze it like this once I get my glue on there. Okay, so let's get our glue on this tab, the one that has literally putting it on the tab with the T on it. And I'm going to get that glue out to the edges. I'm going to need to steal a little bit over there and bring it on over here. There we go. Okay, now literally just going to drop it in like this, and I'm going to push this tab, make sure it's centered, and then just kind of squeeze that tab onto the inside. You can see it's on the inside of the box. So now if we flip these in, our lid should close nicely like that. Okay, there we go. So that was pretty easy. Make sure that everything is nice and flush there. Okay, so our lid is in place. Now we just need to finish off the top part of this. Okay, and we're gonna glue a part of this, just the top part, in place. I'm gonna wait to glue this other section. You'll notice that there's a score line on this section. You can fold it, get it ready, but don't glue that part down just yet. I'm going to just glue this long part down first. Okay, so let's get our glue in there and then work it around the little scallop sections there. Okay. And then make sure that that glue gets out to the very edge of that side there. And just line it up with this long black piece right up to that little fold there. And press that down. Okay. All right, now you can fold this over like so. Got a little belt buckle here. And this is a gold foil that I ran through an embossing machine. And you can see how that's going to meet up with the little belt buckle. But don't worry about this piece yet. Let's just get the belt buckle in place. So let's work our glue onto the back of the belt buckle. Like that. If you got too much in any little area, just kind of spread it out. Whoa, hey there. Whoa there, horsey. Okay, and just get that lined up with the little shadow area of our belt buckle and press that down. Now while you're doing that, make sure that this piece, when you put it down, it's got enough room. It should meet up perfectly with the little belt buckle, and it does. Okay, now we've got our little name tag thing piece that's going to go right here in the center. Now you can do a print and cut with this if you'd like. I'm just going to write it manually, but this piece you can isolate and do a print to cut if you want. That could look nice if you don't have good penmanship. I don't know that I do. I used to. I was taught cursive in Catholic school. I'm not sure if they teach that anymore actually. Okay, so that piece is going to go there. That's where you're going to put your to and your from. Okay, and now this is going to get glued to the top here, just like that. And you'll notice that there are some little indicators here on the top, on the back, to help you with the centering of this. And yeah, it's pretty much spot on anyway. I'm not sure if you really need it or not, but all right, we're going to go ahead and glue this part down to our lid. So just go up to the score mark, don't go beyond it for now. We'll just do one section at a time. It's maybe a little bit too much to try to do all in one shot, so don't overdo it. Get your glue around those little scallops, like so. All right, you can use those guides. Just kind of put those little scallops in between the little guides there. Get it nice and centered. Whoops. Should also match up with the back, and then right at the front where the fold is, that should kind of just sit right over the edge of your lid. Okay, and then if you want, you can flip this down flat and push down from the inside to really, really push that into place, like so. Okay. There we go, almost done. That looks pretty sharp. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to glue the rest of this to this piece here. Okay, so get your glue onto little scallops. And there we go. Work that glue out to the very edge of that piece too. And probably just glue it at about a 45-degree angle. Make sure that it meets nice and flush with the belt buckle. There we go. And that's that. And there you have it. That's how that's going to shape out. Now, to get this all to kind of stick together, what I'm going to do, you can use magnets, if you'd like. Since it's a pretty large area, I'm going to use 2 Velcro dots, and they're pretty easy to apply. You want to take off the backing, just like I did, and I'm going to just put one here. I'm going to peel it off, and I'll grab another one. Put the other one here, and peel off the backing, and then take your lid and just make sure it's nice and centered, and then push the paper down onto the Velcro. Okay, so just going to push down, and then the Velcro should just come back and stick to the back of this, so you can go ahead and close that up now. And it should just stick in place. You can hear it working, doing its thing. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take, and we've got these little evergreen pieces. Find a nice thin dowel. And what I would do is grab, there's going to be 2 for each section. And the idea is to make them as full as possible. So I'm going to take and I'm going to curl one side up, like this, and I'm going to take the other side and kind of curl it down so that they're going in opposite directions to make them kind of look more full. We do have some more realistic versions of this evergreen, but that one was a little more work, and I don't know that it's really necessary for this project, so we don't need to worry about it too much. And you know what, actually, one thing I want to point out is that there's 2 different types here. You notice that there's one where there's like no gap between the bottom 2 sections. That's going to be your bottom. Okay, so this one we actually want to flare down. I'm going to flare this one down, and then the other one where there is in fact some separation between the 2 bottom layers, which is this one here, I'm going to curl that one up. Now, eventually, when you train paper like this, it's going to hold on to that memory for quite some time. It may eventually kind of settle back into place a little bit, not completely. It'll never go completely flat unless you train the paper the opposite way. So you may need to kind of fluff things up a little bit before you present your gift, but it's not a big deal. It's just the nature of paper. Okay, so I'm going to take these 2 pieces then and just kind of glue one on top of the other. You can see how that kind of resembles, you know, the evergreen. And I'm just going to put glue right down the center here, right on the stem, like that, leaving the rest of it free. And just get that nice and centered. Make sure that the bottom is nice and lined up, and then work your way up to the top. There we go, just like that. Okay, now if you want, just to kind of change it up a little bit, not all of them have to be going up and down. You can take a couple of them from the bottom and angle them upward too, and maybe bring up a few more of the ones that are on top and bring them in even more, just to kind of create some variation so it's not all, doesn't all look so mechanical, I guess you could say. Okay, so that looks good. And do the same thing with the other one here. So remember, this is the bottom, the one with the 2 sections where there's not much of a gap there. And I'm just gonna flare these downward just a tad. I'm not used to working that way. I typically like to go up, so I'm just flipping this upside down to make it go up. And then when I flip it back over, it'll actually be going down. It's just easier for me to train the paper in this motion rather than trying to train it the other way. Okay, and then we'll grab this piece here and just kind of train that upward. And again, the main goal here is to create some dimension and bring this to life a little bit. So again, variation is something that you want to try to achieve. Okay, there we go. And just like we did the first time, let's take our glue right up the center, all the way up to the tip, and lay that down onto the base. Get it nice and centered. Make sure it's nice and flush at the bottom, and it is. And that the tips of the tops match up nicely. And there we go. We've got our nice little evergreen. Okay, so we got 2 of those, and we've got some holly here. And what we're going to do, I'm going to find a thicker dowel here. We're going to first curl this. Well, let's pinch it. So push down in the center, and then with these 2 fingers, pinch in like that, and just pinch the tip like so. Again. There we go. And then you can take your dowel and just kind of curl the petal, or the sides of the leaves, I should say, up against this dowel, just to kind of give it like a round appearance. You can see how it's a bit round instead of just flat, okay? And you can give it as much or as little curl as you want. It's up to you. It really comes down to your personal preference, and you can see how it really adds a lot of interest to this little piece here by allowing it to kind of play with the light, and it creates little areas with more shadows and more highlights, which is really, especially even in photography, that's what kind of creates dimension in things, is the way that light hits things. Okay, so now we do have 2 little veins that are going to go on this, and these veins are going to go on one side. You're not going to try to get them right in the center. And I would, well, you know what we can do is one side, you're going to have to probably fold in a little bit, because it's might be kind of difficult to get it in the center there. So pick a side just off center, barely, so that this edge here, this edge of the center of the vein, is lined up against the actual center of the leaf. Okay, and it's just going to sit. I'll make sure that it sits nicely instead of trying to squeeze it right into the center. That's not going to sit as well. So I'm going to put some glue on the entire section of this little vein. And if you got too much, I would dab some of it off, because it certainly will spill over and it won't look as good. Okay, so again, just putting it off to the side of the center crease there, and then I am actually going to press this down flat. Whatever training we did, again, it will retain it. We may have to go in and kind of fluff it up again, but that's okay. Let's just get our vein in place. And you can give that a moment to set before we do anything else with it, but we will go back and kind of retrain that a little bit. And I'm going to fold one side over again, or at least get it started, and then get my glue in the back. We'll get this one into place, and then I'm pretty much done here. I'll just pop that on the top to add a nice little accent. Okay, and just get that right in place. Off center, you want it to be just slightly below or to the side of the little crease in the center of our leaf. Press that down. Okay, we're going to give that a moment to really dry before we go ahead and squeeze this together again to, pinch the leaf. Okay, I want to make sure that this is not going to come pulling apart. But all that's left to do at this point is, just kind of put this all into place. And what we're going to do, all right, so this piece looks like it's probably set. I'm going to go ahead and give that another squeeze in the center. Okay, and if I need to, flare the tips out, kind of make it look more curved around the edges, like so. Looks pretty good, I'd say. There we go. Okay, so ideally, on the top of our box, kind of want the holly to kind of be like this here. And we're going to take the evergreens, we're going to glue them to the back side of our little holly here. So I'm going to throw a little bit of glue right on the back. We're going to connect all these pieces here. And I want a little bit coming off of here. So find a little gap there. And just kind of glue that like that. Okay, and then the other one, I'm going to have that one coming off right here. So if you need to, if you didn't get enough glue on there, just throw another little dot of glue on there and maybe have it come off like that. Okay. And ultimately, I'm going to hot glue that right there. And then I'm going to take some of these little faux berries and I'm going to hot glue them to the center. I may even leave a little bit of the stem on here. But that is your final project here. And actually, I don't even think we're going to put any other embellishments on this. So that'll wrap this project up. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please take a moment and hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. That lets me know that you love crafting with us. Helps my counter go up too, which I see every time I walk in here, and that really gets me excited. So if you're not a subscriber yet, please hit that subscribe button. And if you make this or any of the projects from our new bundle, we'd love to see them. So go over to your Facebook, do a search for Dreaming Tree Group, where you can join myself and the almost 17,000 other dreamers that inspire us daily. So again, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you have a great holiday, and look forward to crafting with you again.